difficult for you to find good labor to work on your farm, because most young people prefer to be in the urban areas or within the peri-urban areas. It is their right to want to be in the urban areas, but it is important that, and I always tell young people wherever I meet them, it is important that you learn that Uganda is bigger than you. The only way you're going to have the Uganda you desire, the Uganda that you want, is to play your citizen role. What is your citizen role? To engage in meaningful production. Now, interestingly, about 80% of our population is between the ages of 0 and 30. Of that, about 90%, about between, not very sure of the figures, but about 90% have grown up in homesteads where there's some sort of subsistence agriculture. And for long, and this is why we need to transform, this is why the transformation agenda is important, because we could not continue to stay within the subsistence sector. The subsistence sector bogs down the economy, it bogs down the country. So whereas other people, like the president always says, whereas other people are dashing to the moon and sighting faraway stars and planets, we're here wondering how many kilos of beans we're harvesting if the rains don't come. So we need to move away from that. And interestingly, though that sounds depressing, and the narrative that most young people have out there is that agriculture is for the old people, you don't make money in agriculture, agriculture is not good for you. But interestingly, if you study history, you will find that even these countries that we look to, the European nations, the Western European nations and North America, we keep talking about slave trade, for example. But interestingly, you will find that slave trade was a success because they were taking young Africans not to go and work in an industry, but to go and work at a sugarcane plantation, a massive plantation. So they made a lot of money from agriculture. So agriculture by its nature is a profitable venture, but it requires dedication, it requires discipline. The role of government in this whole cycle of agriculture is, one, to create an enabling environment. Enabling environment in the sense that if you plant your matoke and someone comes and steals your bunches before they are ripe, you can be able to go to the police and report the case, and they can be able to track down the culprit and administer appropriate punishment. That is part of it. But also it is advocacy, continuously showing the good and the necessity of agriculture. And I think government is doing a good job on this. Now, the young people need to get away from some of the lugambo on social media and the press and say that agriculture is for rich people. We all can play our small roles in agriculture, but if we look at it strictly as a business venture, not as a by the way. Because what's happening is that you're finding people, you finish school, you hit the streets, jobs are scarce, so you remember there's half an acre in the village, so you want to sell it, but your dad, your mom, your guardian says, no, this is all we have, so you can sit here and work. So you go to it as a by the way. But if you look at it not as a by the way, but rather as an opportunity, the way we have French people and Chinese people prospecting for oil in our Albertine, if you look at it as your prospective oil field, agriculture will make money.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And viewers, if you're just joining us, we are looking at the role of youth in the country's transformation agenda. And with me in the studio is Mr. Besigye Andrew from the ICT Ministry. Now, you've talked about something which is very, very interesting, and that is the youth looking at agriculture. Those who engage in it, they engage in it as a by the way. And remember that the population of our country, the highest percentage is made up of the youth, and it is also becoming a big problem at the moment. When you look at what is going on in the country, the riots that are taking place, it's the youth who are involved, and as you clearly put it, most of these guys are educated, although a larger group of them probably are semi-educated, and that's why you find that they get engaged in these kinds of activities. Look at the people who are engaged in the recent bombings and those that have happened before. All these are youth. Now, what would you advise these people to do, and what should government really look at in as far as getting these people to come on board and ensure that they play their role in the transformation of this country?
Yeah, thank you for that good question. Riots are a danger to Uganda. They're a danger to any society. And I need the young people to know that I understand some of their frustrations. I'm not speaking out of ignorance. I have been there. I know the frustrations of...
I hope you have not been on the streets.
No. I know what it means to look for the 10,000 for today's meal and it's not there for...
Sure.
And then just as you get it, the landlord is knocking. So I know all those frustrations. But riots are not a good solution. Allowing yourself to get so angry that you decide to burn down your country is not a good solution.
Actually, you should put that anger into agriculture or something.
Put that anger into now the more productive ventures. And I think this is where the idea of, I've had people talk about mentorship, role models. I think that's when this comes into play. Many young people, unfortunately, are listening to the wrong narratives, the wrong political narratives. Our constitution is very interesting, and it saddens me that many times I talk to people, I realize they do not know the constitution. Even lawyers, they'll throw to you all these sections and all this, and they'll forget probably the most important bit, which is the preamble, the beginning, because it gives you, it speaks to the role of the citizen to their country, and it speaks of the role of the state to the citizen. The mentality that the state should solve all your problems is wrong. Okay? We have people giving birth to 7 children. You can't look after yourself when you're giving birth to 7 children, and then you're standing on the street and saying you want government to look after them, but you're not putting anything into government. How do you expect government to look after your own children if you're not putting anything into government? So young people, for us to be able to transform our economy, excuse me, for us to be able to transform our economy, it's important we understand what, number one, our roles are as citizens to the country, and then what the state's role is to us. So it is okay if, as a citizen, I demand better health care. It is okay, because the state is supposed to facilitate that. But it is wrong for me, for the state to build its hospital, then I come, and because I'm angry,
you vandalize.
I put pigs in the middle of the road, vandalize it, burn everything, block the entrance. That is wrong. It does not solve anything. It actually makes a bad situation worse. So young people, I keep telling them, choose the right political line to follow. Don't just go with the bandwagon Katemba. Many times, when I sit on a border, I try to engage in a conversation with a border rider. And it's amazing that there are some young border riders who have a very good understanding of our politics and of our economy.
Yeah, that's true.
But sadly, the vast majority of them are so angry that they do not want to listen. Okay? And I find it very wrong. But I understand, because to a certain extent, some of our leaders are to blame. And we give them mileage on our airwaves, we give them mileage in our lives, which is wrong. So if, for example, if somebody, the bombings that happened the other day, I saw somebody unfairly, a member of parliament, unfairly begin to question. The head of state gives a statement and says, these are the names of the people. These are the bombers, these are, and then somebody says, it seems you knew them before. How come you know both their names, okay? And they're on national TV. It is important that we reject these leaders of ours who speak like that, because they are not putting any concrete solution on the table.
Actually, they just worsen the situation.
They're worsening a bad situation. And they're inflaming the anger wrongly among the youth. Last week, I was privileged to attend the Kampala Geopolitics Conference at Makerere.
Yes.
And I could hear some of the questions the students at Makerere were asking. These are young people who are passionate about their country. All they need is a good answer, but the answers are there. So it is incumbent on us to give these answers.
I think, Andrew, the other thing is that probably government should really do enough in as far as civic education is concerned, but also there is a mindset change. It is a very, very big challenge at the moment to find, for example, a young man or a young lady who has finished campus and has been on the streets for about maybe 2 years, and there is nothing that is happening. For someone, you know, who has been there, and someone to come and try to change the mindset of that person, I think it's a little bit difficult. However, the government is trying to, you know, to come up with programs to help, you know, these youth change their minds so that they can play their role. Do you think government should do more in that area? What should actually be done, especially in learning institutions?
When I see what government is doing now, and I compare with the government of 2006, this government is doing a lot more than it did in 2006.
There is
there's a lot of progress in as far as addressing mindset change is concerned. The way government is approaching citizen problems, citizen concerns is a lot better than in 2006, a lot better than in 2010, a lot better even than 2015. If you remember in 2015 when there were these OTT riots,
yes,
okay, the way government addressed those was not as smart or as intelligent as they're addressing the current challenges. So there's constant improvement. The Japanese call it Kaizen. So I am happy to say that government of Uganda constantly is improving. It's moving and it's moving. And my belief is that tomorrow will be better than today. But however, like I said, young people, for us to achieve the transformation agenda that is before us, that the NIM government has set before us, one, we have to understand what is transformation, what does it entail, what does this word phrase transformation mean. And I was telling some people recently, there are these notorious characters that are very active on social media, and they're all based abroad, okay? They just look into a camera and then just shout these tribal explicitives, these religious explicitives, and we should not listen to those ones, because those are just backward individuals. Unfortunately, they carry the tag Ugandan, but they're backward individuals. They forget, for example, the countries they live in. They live in the USA, they live in the UK, they live in all these fancy countries, okay? Those countries have practiced capitalism for 600 years. Capitalism has been on the ascendancy for 600 years. So when these people are starting out in the capitalist economy, we are just a small, the president calls it enclave. Enclave means a small,
yes,
yeah, the size of a teacup. All right, that's how small we were. I knew my neighbor knew me. That was the extent of the world to us, okay? But these guys were exploring and discovering and conquering new lands, okay? 600 years. We are playing catch up. So if you're listening to this fellow Lumbuye going on and on with his rubbish, a friend of mine calls it rubbish. You're listening to somebody going on and on about it, and you're gifting him the brilliance of your mind by allowing his toxicity to enter your mind. He is not helping, because he's blinding you from what government is doing. And what is government doing? Government is enabling. It's giving you safety, number one, reasonable safety. Number two, it's trying to create opportunities. When you see the board of UIA every day on media, opening new parks and new investors coming in, those are opportunities that are being created. When government says we're giving you free primary education, free secondary education, all these are geared towards the transformation. The role of a young person is to embrace that, jump on it. So when people are saying school is bad, you say no. Why is it bad? Let me go to school and study. When they say we need people in the agriculture sector, please embrace the agriculture sector. Go to WC, go to sign up for Emyoga, sign up for Youth Life, go sign up, and then if you sign up for Emyoga and the guys at Emyoga delay to give you money, then stand and say, I signed up on this and this.
And I wasn't given the money.
And I wasn't given this money. There you have every justification to complain. But you're just seated somewhere under a tree or in a comfortable home, and you're just saying, I want. No, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way, yes.
Okay, Andrew, we've got just a few minutes remaining to end this. Now, what would be your final one, probably advice to the youth, because we're talking about the youth here, and what do you think government should do more to ensure that this country's transformation agenda, is achieved?
To be young is a blessing. To be young is a blessing. It's a good thing because you have boundless energy. And to be young is an opportunity for you to shape your life the way you want to shape it. In my own life, I've made some mistakes behind, which I wish I had not made, but I've made them, I've learned.
All of us.
All of us. So it is important that we learn from those mistakes. To the young people, I said, do not lose hope. Uganda it is not for no reason that they call it the Pearl of Africa. It is actually the Pearl of Africa. Even if you are unable to travel the world for you to realize that Uganda is the Pearl, you can travel the world through a book, through a newspaper. If you're on social media, follow only those that show you the beauty of Uganda in comparison with the rest of the world. And once you fall in love with Uganda, the country Uganda, when you can proudly stand up and say, I am Ugandan, then you begin to work towards being a true Ugandan, being productive, okay? It does not matter whether you're pro-NRM or anti-NRM, no. You are Ugandan. You must work towards being productive in Uganda to advance Uganda, okay? So that is the thing I tell the youth. Now, to the government will always, the entity called government is a unique one because it's easy for me to sit here and criticize and say you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. It's easy to say that, but the challenges that government has are enormous. They're enormous, yeah. And in my view, government is doing a lot. Every time I see government build a road, it serves the youth agenda. Every time I see government sink money into Ministry of Agriculture, ever since they appointed Honorable Frank Tumwewa as the Minister of Agriculture, I kid you not, have tracked him. I do not think that man has spent 3 days in Kampala. He's always on the move, okay? So every time you see him on the move, in every district, in all these sub-counties, those are opportunities that he's creating for the young people within the agriculture sector. So rather than abuse him on social media, listen and then look for your opportunity there. Every time government comes up and says we are trying to do this in security, we are trying to do this in ICT, it's a good opportunity. I urge them, on UBC you have very good programs. Thank you for appreciating. Yes, I started watching UBC because my mother and my father are UBC. And actually I also tell so many people that they are really missing a lot by not watching us here. So rather than watch Bobby Wine or Baby Cool sing on another TV station, I'd rather tune in at 9 in the morning. I'd rather tune to UBC, okay? Because UBC, even if they're showing me international news, there's something entering my mind. If they're showing me a program on business, there's something entering my mind. If they're showing me a program on education, I'm better understanding it. If they're showing health, I'm better understanding it. And all these are opportunities. So Uganda is virgin territory to the young people. I say just embrace it. Let's go make Uganda better. Thank you so much, Besigye Andrew. Viewer, we've come to the end of this interview, and we've been looking at the role of youth in the country's transformation agenda. And Andrew here has really, put it out there. The youth, you've heard it all. Do not just engage in propaganda, but just go out there. If you have a chance, go out and if you can, engage in agriculture. You have a chance, go and engage in agriculture, because it's not yet late for you to play a role in as far as this country's transformation agenda is concerned. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijana Ngoma. I thank you so much for having been part of this interview. I will be coming back later on at 10 for our 10 p.m. news bulletin. Stay tuned.